All right. Well, aloha kakahiaka. This is the pregame show for the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. We are getting started. If you are just looking, if you're coming on through a pre-recorded show, you could probably zoom forward about 5 minutes because that's when the real discussion is starting. This is the pregame show where we kind of get ourselves a little bit warmed up over here, and we got our friends around the table. So we're going to do some mic checks and some background checks and make sure everyone's doing good. We're going to go in the order that I see you in clockwise order. So Dylan, what's going on there what's happening on the Big Island, buddy?
Just another beautiful day over here. It actually got a little bit drier than it's been in the past. It was kind of wet earlier part of the year, but this last couple of weeks it's dried up. So, of course, we were looking for drier weather, and then now that the grass is drying out and the plants are drying out, and we have to water, we're wishing for some rain. So,
how does that go? The grass is always drier on the other side. Is that we're gonna? And hey, Jim, once again, first guy on board. Well, welcome, Jim. Great to see you again, buddy. Terrific. Scott, what's going on over there? And how's the fake background of yours, Scott?
Yeah, I'm actually on vacation right now, doing a staycation, I should say. I'm probably 3 miles from where I live, from my house in Kahala at the Kahala Resort. So I could have walked here practically, but yeah, they actually got me a great room. So this is right off the Dolphin. I'll step all the way in a second, but this is right off the Dolphin Lagoon, and you get ocean views from here. So I'll step out of the way so you can kind of take a look right down here.
Oh, there's a dolphin right there. There's one that just, there they are. They're splashing around back there. They're splashing around. Yeah, there's one.
So cool. Then you get the ocean off in the distance. You'll see the kite borders. It's really, really windy today. The last couple of days have been super windy. But yeah, good, nice little
looking
spot.
Good, man. Looking good. Maya Lemus, hello. Yes, aloha, Maya. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. And Scott's. So Scott, that's really hilarious. You got I was cracking up when I heard you went to a staycation about 3 miles from where you live. That's what Hawaii is. You can go 3 miles away and still loving it. Heidi, what's going on over there, girl?
Well, I'm just drinking my Maui coffee.
What is it? What's the coffee? What's the coffee brewed today, Heidi?
So it's a Hana Bliss. It's kind of I got this at Badass Coffee. It's kind of a lighter roast, and it has some, a little bit of a tropical feel to it. It has a little chocolate, vanilla, macadamia nut, just kind of a great breakfast coffee. And yeah, I've just been nonstop lately. I'm actually sitting in my office right now, and it's been busy over here on Maui, especially since travel's opened up about a month ago.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear about that when we start to show off market updates in our little pregame, in our pregame show. We had a bunch of a discussion about that, so I'm looking forward to getting the updates from all you guys. We got Heidi's coffee. I forgot to do the Aloha shirt round. Dylan, you that's a weird looking. That's not an Aloha shirt flower pattern. What's on the shirt there, buddy?
Yeah, so this is a Sig Zane, again, local designer out of Hilo, and this is actually a map of Hilo, so you can see there's like street names on it and stuff, and so pretty cool, different type of Aloha shirt. But if you look at it closely, you'll recognize all the main street names in Hilo town. So it's kind of a throwback to the hometown where the designer's from.
That's really, really funny, man. That's interesting. That's interesting. You know what I love about Hilo is, I think what's cool about Hilo is that it's like time has stood still for Hilo. We lived there for a short while in the early 90s. I was there, for one thing or another, and it looked exactly the same. Some shops had changed, but it hasn't changed one bit at all. Scott, it's real quick, Scott. I don't want to miss your Aloha shirt show because I know you wore it specifically for us. What do you got over there?
Actually, this is my former uniform at the Kauai Seafood Bar on the Big Island, which is my family's restaurant. So this thing's probably 15, 16 years old, but Rin Spooner, and then we stitched the family's restaurant name in here and use it as a uniform.
See, this is Heidi. This is the I think one of the big difference between guys. Guys will proudly wear clothes that are 15 years old and be proud of it. Where we like it's like a badge of honor. This thing is 15 years old and I'm still wearing it, and it's only
got 2 or 3 holes in it.
It's only got 2 or 3 holes.
We throw it away, right?
As long as no one sees the holes, there are no holes. It's only the only holes that exist are the holes that everyone can blatantly see. Otherwise, it's good. That's guys, Heidi. That's who we are. All right, folks. I think it's time. I think we're properly warmed up. I want to welcome you all once again to our Aloha Friday Hawaii show. I'm your host, Peter Kay, and I've got my excellent expert friends over here from across the state. We've got Dylan Nonaka from the Big Island. We got Scott Startzman on Oahu, and we got Heidi Dollinger, who's in Maui. This is this is the only show that I know of where we have people from across the state that are helping us out. All right, let's get started with our typical topic over here, and this one's going to be interesting because, you know, gang, I got to tell you, this might be the last like big time COVID update I'm going to give you all, because there's almost like nothing to report. It's which is a good thing. There's almost nothing to say about this. Yeah, Kinaya, welcome back. Good to see you again. There's almost nothing going on over here. There's no major spikes. People are arriving. People are coming and going. There's been no sort of crazy stories. There's been no major outbreaks. The case load is low. If you look at that little graph there, that gray sort of thing, there's no spikes. And so really, you know, my advice to you is, this is really, really a good time if you want to come to Hawaii, because the crowds aren't here yet. You can still go and have empty beaches. And Scott, the beaches in Waikiki, they're totally empty, right?
Yeah, there's not that many people. And even here, I mean, there's not a lot of occupancy. They're giving out great room rates and deals, even early check-in, late check-outs. You know, we have plenty of space in the restaurants, and we go out down by the pool, or we go to get in the jacuzzi or out on the beach, and you have kind of free will at it. There's not a ton of people, so you have the room.
Yeah. There's nothing. Dylan, have you heard? Is there any news? I did. You know, I scanned all kinds of stuff, and I didn't catch any kind of out of the ordinary stuff that's going on. Is there anything on the Big Island that's COVID related that is worth reporting?
There was a little bit of an increase in cases here and there, but of course it's relative, right? I mean, if we get 10 new cases, it seems like a lot compared to other places because our population is small. But the big change that's COVID related over here is that they are scaling back the post. You know, we were the only island with the required post test. When you arrive, you have to do a pre-test and then a post test, and you got to pass them both in order to get out of the quarantine. So, I mean, I think this is kind of obvious, but now that the visitors have started to increase, they don't have the funding and manpower to test every single person. So they're saying they're going to scale that back to 20%. So it's kind of going to be a random test when you get off the plane, if you're selected to get that secondary test when you arrive.
Yeah, I had caught that story, so I'm glad that you embellished it a bit, and that's good to hear. Heidi, have you heard anything? Is there anything on Maui COVID related that's worth talking about?
I mean, we're really lucky to throughout the whole pandemic, have a pretty low, relatively low number of cases. It seems like travel's getting a little better as far as people getting comfortable with the process of what they need to do with the pre-testing and get over here. Definitely don't just jump on a plane and come here. Make sure you get your tests, make sure you register, go through all the proper steps. The only thing I would say is, for visitors coming, be aware that masks are required here in public, and the local residents do really respect that and want that enforced. So, even if you have a negative COVID test, when you're in public areas, people are still required to wear masks here in Maui, but most people are doing that. So it's going along,
Yeah, Hawaii people have just like if we have some time, we chat about that. One's like, what's the cultural thing behind like the mask? We just like, boom, mask wearing. Yep, everyone's on it and everyone's wearing it. And to not wear a mask in public is like a big no-no. I even see people kind of jogging in the middle of nowhere, like with their mask on, and I'm like, okay, well, God bless you, man. Of course we wear our masks when we go shopping and when we go to areas. But when I'm walking the dog and there's nobody around me for, anywhere, I don't wear the mask, and I hope I don't get arrested. But anyway, okay, that's it, folks. Here's the bottom line. It's like I said, I'll probably keep reporting on it briefly, but there's not going to be a whole lot. Maybe we'll kind of do it where there's like some great exceptions or whatever, but it looks like stuff is working, which is absolutely fabulous news. And of course, if you combine that with the whole idea of it looks like the it looks like the vaccine is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be great news for everybody. I think the big thing is that it looks like, and I'm sure the airlines are really relieved to hear this, that the airlines seem to have a way that's pretty good to keeping from outbreaks going on. So that's the great news. All right, let's move on. Lots of stuff happening about on the real estate market. There was a bunch of chatter, and I hope we. There was a bunch of chatter that we had between us about it. So let's just kind of find out, Dylan, just give us a quick thing of what's happened over the past 2 weeks that's really notable in the real estate market on the Big Island.
Well, it's not necessarily the last 2 weeks, but the data comes out a little about like a week after the month ends. So we got the data a couple of days ago from October, and the short story is it's bananas. It's off the chart. There was just in the Kona market a 63% increase in the number of homes sold. So normally it's like 40 to 50 homes that'll sell every month. There was 41 homes sold last October, which is a great market. There was 67 homes sold this October. Coming out of the ending of this lockdown and the quarantine period and all of this stuff. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And overall, for the whole island, it was a 30% increase. So still very strong across the whole island, but definitely that second home market is strong. The condo market is pretty much recovered. So it's a little bit better, just like 4 or 5% better than it was a year ago. And the other crazy thing is vacant land for the island. So you can get a lot of vacant land on the Big Island. We talk about this all the time for small amounts of money, $7, $8, $9, $10, $15, $20,000. But there was an 80% increase in the number of vacant land parcels that sold this October versus October 2019. So off the chart increases. We see fluctuations of 25% here and there, but not the kind of numbers that we saw this October. So it's off the chart.
That's crazy, man. And though our regular listeners, our regular viewers who are here with us know that we've been kind of talking about this for a long time. We kept saying, look, there's going to be a big flood of buyers coming into the market, and I'm happy to say that that the things that we talked about and essentially predicted are coming true. It's a good thing for everybody. A big rebound. Scott, what's the story on Oahu?
Yeah, we're seeing the similar thing. I mean, we haven't had that quick spike here lately. It's been consistently busy for a while. Prices are up a little more than 10% this past month for single family homes, and condos have caught back up to the point where for the year we're up a little over 1% on the condo side, which that's segmented into two different categories: Waikiki, your second home, vacation home, and then your regular outside of Waikiki kind of condo housing. But everything's up. Sales are up. Prices are up significantly, and it's a busy market. We're definitely still seeing multiple offer situations. In fact, one of the issues that I'm having and that others are having, and I wish agents would do a better job of it, but we're seeing the COVID effects, which is we can only allow a certain number of parties in at a time. So even when it comes to an open house, sometimes we'll just do scheduling by private appointment every 15-minute increments. And what we're seeing out in some of these really busy areas like Ewa Beach and Kapolei, Makakilo, Mililani, they'll come on the market Friday. Okay, we're going to do showings for 3 days in between this blocked increment time, and not everybody can get in, which is really disappointing for buyers that are trying to get in to see these homes to be able to make an offer. So COVID is affecting us in the way that we're able to even do showings, because we can only allow people in at certain amount periods of time. So sometimes some people aren't even able to get into homes to even have a chance to bid on them.
Well, I guess how's that go? It's being busy in a good way, or it's good, or it's not. It's good, and whatever it is, it's good. You guys are busy, too busy.
Good problem to have.
Good. There you go. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for unscrambling my brain this morning. I didn't have enough. I need some of Heidi's kind of special brand of coffee. Heidi, what's the market like in Maui?
Well, our luxury market has just been super strong lately, and our overall market activity has definitely picked up. I mean, the area we were a little bit slow prior was the condo market, but now, I mean, we're getting tons of showings again. Buyers are here, sellers are here. And for me personally, it's just been nonstop since October 15th with things happening. And I mean, again, prices are stable and strong. If Maui's in your future plans, it's a wonderful time to come out here because it's still not as busy as it was in the past, and you can get in to see things. So So yeah, it's been a great time.
It is a really, really, really good time, gang. This is, it's not going to be this way for long. We don't know how long. I can't predict right now how long it's going to be this way, but it's a pretty amazing time to come to Hawaii, if only for vacation, but to look at properties as well. Because I mean, you've got this great, it's not crowded, which is really, really cool. So that's great. Scott, I had a real quick, I wanted to come back to you. I was curious about what's happened with the Waikiki market. Waikiki sort of got its butt kicked during the pandemic. What's kind of happening to it now?
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny, because it doesn't make sense to me. Prices are actually year to date only down 2% for Waikiki for condos, which makes no sense to me. And last month was up 5% on price. So, you don't have vacation rental income coming in, any income coming in really for a while here. You would think you would have a significantly bigger drop in price. Days on market are lasting longer, things such as that, but we're not seeing the price drops.
That's really remarkable. Really, it's like, boy, there was just a really, really, really tiny window there. It seemed like that you could have gotten kind of a deal, quote unquote, in Waikiki, but it doesn't look like that deal is around. Hey, folks, I want to take this moment to encourage you all to put in your questions. We're going to give. We've got our slides kind of lined up, so we're going to follow our little program, but the people that are here with us live, you get priority. So we're going to take your questions first and make sure you get those into the comments. We pretty much are able to get everyone's questions almost all the time. And in fact, let's get a few more. Jim, who's our Jim, if I need to see you in person, because I need to give you a trophy for being our most loyal viewer. I need some more of that coffee, Heidi. Or maybe I've had too much coffee. Not sure. Jim says, question for Scott. Scott, how long is the average closing time in Waikiki or on Oahu in general?
Yeah, Oahu in general, it's 10 days for single family homes. For condos, it's 18 days. And then for Waikiki, I think we're at 89 days.
So run it by me again.
10 days for single family homes on Oahu. They're going super quick. And the funny thing is once we get into escrow, we don't change it to show that it's an escrow until usually like 4 days after we're in escrow. So 10 days would actually be about 6 on average. Wow. And the condo side in general is 18 days. And then Waikiki's about 89 days. So
why is there such a huge difference? Why is there such a huge difference for Waikiki condos?
There hasn't been buyers in the market. That's why I don't really understand. Like, how do you not have price drops when you don't really have a buyer pool there right now, right? You haven't. We're just now starting to let tourists back in, and you don't have this vacation rental income. But why are we not seeing the bigger price jumps? I mean, price drops. And every agent I talk to says their showings are really slow. There's, a trickling of showings periodically here and there. So I do still feel Waikiki is the value proposition here in this real estate market for now, but it's just not showing on the price side.
Got it. Scott, I think that Jim is asking about closing time in terms of escrow closing time. And I think you were rattling off time on market, which is amazing. Yeah. Closing time. What's average closing time? And I think Jim has been asked about single family homes in the past. So what's the average closing time, escrow closing time for a single family home on Oahu?
Yeah, I mean, I've closed cash as fast as 12 days, but general cash is 25 to 35 days. With financing, you're 30 to max 60, but 45 is the average.
45. Okay, so 45 days plus or minus if you've got cash or financing. Dylan, are the numbers on the Big On for closing times any different?
Pretty much exactly the same. But the thing that I'm telling people, and I'm actually going to do a video about this today and put it out probably next week, is managing expectations of buyers and sellers, because right now with this huge increase in the number of properties being sold, right, whether it be single family homes or land, this huge spike in the number of units, our industry doesn't change or doesn't increase with the same amount of manpower, right? So when it comes to a closing, buyers and sellers have things that they got to do, but then there's a ton of other people involved, right? The escrow and title companies, there's the lender involved if the buyer's getting a loan, there's a home inspector, there's a termite inspector, there's surveyors if you're going to do a survey or staking. there's appraisers that have to do an appraisal. So there's all of these third-party functions that go into getting a transaction closed. And if one of them is backed up or delayed, which we're seeing one and many of them right now getting backed up, closings are taking longer because especially appraisers, they're way back. And there's only a set number of appraisers in town. And when the volume of deals goes up 50, 60%, the number of appraisers doesn't follow that up at the same time. So the title companies are super busy. The attorneys who draft the deeds are super busy. So everybody is, I'm just letting everybody know, don't expect to close on time right now. If we do, great. That's a bonus. But right now we're definitely seeing, 1 to 2 week delays in every single contract.
That's an important part. The industry doesn't scale. There's a lot of human interaction, so it doesn't scale well.
There's plenty of extra realtors out there, but there isn't a lot of extra other folks that do.
We have an oversupply of realtors, but an undersupply of all the service providers in the industry. Heidi, what's the average closing time? Back to kind of, let's apply Jim's question to Maui. What's the average closing time, escrow closing time in Maui? Is it about the same or is it different?
Well, I mean, it's a part of the contract that's negotiable, so it's really up to the buyer, but it's also up to the lender's ability to close. I mean, we're seeing banks just have been flooded with a demand for refinances and loans. So for a condominium, I mean, you're looking at typically at least 60 days to close. For a cash offer, I'd usually recommend a 21 to 30 day close. That gives you time to do your inspections, do your due diligence, and close in a pretty timely fashion. And then for more conventional financing on a single family home, you can close in 45 days. Now, if the property is tenant occupied and the tenants need to be given 45 days notice, I mean, you're kind of looking at 60 days at the fastest too. So I would say most transactions I've been working on lately are at least about 60 days.
Excellent. Thanks, Heidi. And yeah, Jim, you are welcome. Jim is thanking you, Scott, which is great. Welcome, Jim.
And that's an interesting point, right? With this discussion of the market being hot right now, the closings that happened in October went into escrow the month or two prior, right? So we're talking about August and September contracts that closed in October. So that was in the height of the shut. I mean, we were still shut down, right? There was nobody here. I mean, so that's the crazy thing about the October closings is they happened a while back. It wasn't like they started in October and people, the people that arrived. Really so what is December going to look like, right? And January going to look like now that we have people returning? It's going to, I mean, I think it's going to get even crazier. So
it's like that analogy of the snake trying to eat an elephant, right? It's kind of makes its way through. And you're going to have there's a big, huge ball of busyness that's coming through. It's a great point.
Yeah, part of what the good realtors,
the good ones, like the ones at this table, the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that is part of the challenge right now. Is I'm running into people who aren't adapting really well to what's going on in the marketplace. So, I mean, I have an ag lot that I brought on, and I knew we were going to have some difficulty. It's 3 acres doing the survey, and the surveyor wasn't even available for 30 days. Well, 2 weeks before we were even going on the market, I was already in touch with that surveyor, working with him because it was going to be a multiple step process, getting all those dates lined up. So I'm not dragged 3 months out trying to do this survey. The good agents are going to be more proactive now so that we don't have as many bumps and hoops that we got to jump through once we get into escrow. You already know you're probably going into escrow when you get on the market. So get prepared up front. There's a lot of agents that don't do that. And then that process drags out because of their inability to be proactive up front.
Hey, Scott, we're going to do a quick break over here. Can you show us the background? I'm hearing kids and splashing. I think there's, right?
They're right here.
There's dolphins right there. So folks, I don't know if you can all see this, but if you look right below Scott, there's 2 folks with like dark slacks and a light blue kind of a polo shirts back there. I think those are staff that are looking over the dolphin pool, right? That's the dolphin pool back there, right, Scott?
Yeah, there's actually 2 dolphins literally right here.
Oh yeah, that's right. I see them. If you look right down there, they're there. See
yeah,
them?
they're super noisy, super loud.
All right, folks, where do you get live dolphin shots? Tell me where else do you get live dolphin shots? Nowhere, but it's so cool. Look at it. It's right there. It's totally awesome. So there you go. Hope you're all enjoying that one. That's a good one. Let me know what you all think about that in the comments. I'd like to get your feedback. Did you see the dolphins? I saw them. Okay, we have another one here from Mark. Mark says, Aloha, if a home is shown as contingent, should I consider it to be unavailable? I'd say, yeah, with the way the market's going now, real quick. Yes. Let's just go around the table. Dylan, real quick answers here.
You should check. So I always call the agent and ask them, hey, how's that escrow going? Because they're gonna usually give you some feedback if it's bumpy or the buyer's financing doesn't look good. So 60% of the time, it's pretty much not going to come back on the market, but there is a chance that it does. So it doesn't hurt. It also matters how long it's been showing contingent, right? So I can look in when it went contingent. If it's been contingent for 45 days, it's probably going to close. If it's only been contingent for 3 days, they're still in their inspection period. It's more likely within the first 2 weeks, it's going to fall out. So there's a couple of different, variables there, but check.
Roger. Mark, I hope you're working with one of the three. I hope you're working with. Oh, awesome. Who's you working
with me?
Awesome. So Mark, listen, the only question you got to say is what's Dylan's phone number? That's it. Done. What you should do is call Dylan. Anyway, Scott, real quick on what's the contingent thing like on Oahu?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea in this marketplace is to try to get into escrow, and you got a lot of people that are rushing to put contracts in to see the property on the first day, get that property into escrow. Our contract is very pro buyer here in Hawaii. So there's so many outs that you can get out of, especially during the inspection period, which is our J1 in our purchase contract. You can back out. So even if it's contingent, if you can get into a backup position, there's quite a few people that will get in, wrap it up, and then, they have second thoughts. They get emotional about it. They get scared, cold feet, and walk away. And if you're in that backup position, you'll slide into first position. So yeah, it's technically an escrow when you see it as contingent, but it still might be an opportunity that comes up down the road.
Yeah, see, this is the difference between having pros and me, who's not in the business at all. I just say, yeah, no, it's gone. And you guys, you folks are giving much more educated answers than I can possibly do. Heidi, do you have anything you want to add to this discussion about the contingency?
I mean, when I'm representing sellers, I tell them that, it's not done till it's done. And most properties, once they go under contract, are updated to show pending, continue to show. And as a buyer, if you have strong interest in that property, I would still recommend reaching out to the agent and seeing what the status is. Is it rocky? I mean, are those buyers able to get their financing? I mean, sometimes things do come back on the market, and those buyers then that are in the backup position or are in contact with the agents already have a better chance of getting it. So yeah, you just never know. But I mean, it's pretty typical for properties to show like pending, continue to show all the way up till closing. So just ask for more information.
Let me clarify real quick and add to that. So what we're talking about, and I don't, it's realtor speak, right? But we're talking about backup position. So something that you can do as a buyer is when a property is showing contingent, your realtor can call that agent and say, hey, are you guys entertaining backup offers? And if they are, what you can do as a buyer is submit an offer with some additional language in it that basically says this is a backup offer and the timelines won't start until the current offer is canceled and a new escrow is open with this. But it basically puts you in position. So if the current escrow cancels, you automatically go into escrow with that seller, and you don't have to wait for the property to go back on the market and compete for it again. So there's a lot of advantages to doing that. In the language that I use, I always give the buyer the option to cancel at any time with written notice to the seller. So even if that offer is accepted as a backup offer, you can continue to look. And if you find something else, we just notify them that, hey, we're canceling the backup and we can move on a different property. So there's really no downside as a buyer to making backup offers and getting into backup position if it's a property you really like. You can continue to shop. It doesn't stop you from looking at other properties.
Excellent. Thanks, Dylan, for that. Scott, you wanted to throw some your 2 cents in there?
Yeah. One last thing is not only are you eliminating the competition by being in the backup, so if it does fall out, you slide right in and you're not having to compete with everybody. But most people will have moved on from that property as well. So then if there are things that need to be negotiated during the escrow period and you've been in the backup, now the seller's having to go through a second escrow and you're having to negotiate things. Oftentimes you can be the seller may be a little more flexible some of the issues that might need to be addressed during that second contract.
You know, my eyes are beginning to roll back into my sockets with the technicalities of closings. That's a great. I didn't realize what a great question that was going to be, Mark. And Mark, totally. Thank you, Mark. He completely appreciates it. And a shout out there, Dylan. There you go, buddy. It's in black and white. We have been in contact with Dylan. He's extremely friendly and helpful. Way to go, Dylan. Nice job. This is who we are, gang. This is the people that that I've known. Heidi, we've just met recently with the show, but Dylan and Scott, known you guys for decades, and so I was really happy. And Heidi, I'm so glad that you're a part of the Ohana here, and I know everybody loves you. Okay, Jeremy, yeah, Jeremy, man, oh man, wish I was there. What are you waiting for, Jeremy? What are you waiting for, guy? That's all I got to tell you. What are you waiting for? And Michael. 36 and snow in Minnesota. Oh man, that's triggering me just thinking about that. I'm just, you're giving me PTSD. I was born in Chicago. Heidi, you and I are from the same state, and I believe it's colder in Chicago than any place. I believe Chicago is the coldest city on the planet. But anyway, so I remember, I got some stories about. We can bring up some stories, right, Heidi? 50 below with the wind chill. That's like the famous crazy weather in the Midwest that we get. All right, gang. Great discussion. Let's move on. There was a slew of slides there was a slew of questions. So I'm going to throw a few of them up first, and then we're going to have a discussion about it. So, for example, we have a Tracy. From California on Central Valley. I've seen some very nice condos, apartments on Oahu for sale at what seems to be incredible bargains. Are owners shying away from close quarters due to COVID? That's one. Maui, Dave from California. Are there ocean view condos for under 300 on Maui? If not, what kind of condo is available for 200 to 300? And then on the Big Island, it's best property in the COVID world. We're considering purchasing vacation rental condos in Kona as an investment, short-term vacation rental to use personal in the summer as we're teachers. We're willing to spend up to $400K and would like to be oceanfront, if not necessarily ocean view. We are concerned over the impact of COVID on these properties' rental potential and having some very high income owner fees as carrying costs when not occupied. Given these challenges, is it best to invest in a studio, a one-bedroom, or a two-bedroom? What do you feel will have the best return on investment as we recover from COVID? So, gang, we got a bunch of kind of condo questions. So why don't we kind of do this? Let's talk about the people are asking about the condo market. We've kind of touched on it earlier, so there's no need to repeat the things that we've already said. But let's kind of hit this. Scott, why don't you take this, and then we'll go from Scott, then we'll go to Heidi, and then we'll go to Dylan, and I'll bring up the slides back again to refresh your memory. But before we do that, Daniel, aloha from Chicago. Hey, dude, Northwest Side, man. That's where I was born and raised. Well, not raised, born. I was raised in Hawaii. That's what I tell people. I moved here when I was 21, but born on the northwest side of Chicago. Anyway, Scott, what's the deal with the Are there any bargain condos on Oahu left, Scott?
I mean, I haven't seen a ton of bargains. Like I was just saying about Waikiki, the prices aren't down that much. Are there values out there? Can you find them? Yes, but don't expect some bargain basement, dumpster fire kind of situation going on here. Clearly, we've seen in the marketplace that there's enough strength, and people on that condo side in Waikiki, which is where those deals are going to be, are able to hold out. We're not seeing a ton of just absolute dumpster fire sales, but the bargains are there. If they're going to be, it's going to be Waikiki.
I know that, thanks, Scott. And I know that Dylan had said a long time ago, if there's an incredible deal, there's something wrong with it. There's something to be suspect with it. Heidi, I don't want to give a sneak peek to what we're going to talk about later on our diamonds and deals, but what about this question from Dave? Can you get an ocean view condo for around 300, or if not, what's available for 200 to 300?
Well, there's about 10 listings on Maui right now that are between 200 and 300,000 and have an ocean view. About 5 of these are fee simple, which is full ownership. About 5 of these are leasehold, where you own the condo, you do not own the interest in the land. So short answer, there's very limited inventory, but yes, you can find something, and I would say keep watching because I have something to share a little bit later in the show.
Yes, we do, but we're not going to. But you're going to have to stay tuned. You have to stay tuned for this one for sure. Yeah. Heidi, I just want to point out that I really appreciate that you actually prepare for this show. And not to say that Dylan and Scott don't. I don't know if Dylan and Scott, but I definitely know you prepare. You look at the slides ahead of time and you've got your answers. Otherwise, how would you know that there's five leaseholds and five fee simples from 2 to 300? God bless you. And I hope Dave, I know Dave, if you're watching, but if you are, I hope you appreciate that because I certainly do. Let's hit the next one. Dylan, this was a long one. Dave from San Diego, he's looking at vacation rentals, COVID, he's thinking about COVID impacts, what's happening with the market. What is it? Is it best to get a studio, a 1-bedroom, or a 2-bedroom? What do you feel will have the best return on investment as we recover from COVID?
Well, this one's a kind of hard one to answer because you're asking for the crystal ball, but if we go back to earlier in the year and even late last year, we had a new vacation rental regulation go into effect. So I was telling everybody, hey, vacation rental condos are a great investment right now because the supply of vacation rentable properties is going to get severely constrained because it was a Wild West before anybody could turn their home or their condo into a vacation rental. So once that regulation went into effect, clearly owning a condo that was zoned property that you could get a permit for the vacation rent was a good idea. And then COVID hit, right? And so if you bought a condo in December last year and were thinking you're going to make a bunch of money this year, you were not realizing that. So going forward, I still believe that a vacation rentable condo is a good investment from an income perspective, as long as things go back to normal. We just don't know exactly how long that's going to take. And at this point, we're seeing visitors return, but until we get back to full strength, it's hard to it's going to be hard to project. You can look at rental history from 2019, which is probably a better year to project rental history going forward. But if you look at rental history from 2020, it's obviously going to be very bad. So from a return on investment standpoint, it's not a bad idea to buy a condo. HOA fees can feel high, but they're not crazy. I mean, there's a lot of places that have HOA fees around $500-$600. So that's very reasonable for the Kona market. Of course, we do have condos that have $1,000 plus maintenance fees, but from a size standpoint, that really depends on what kind of market you're looking for. Obviously, the smaller the condo, the less per night you can rent it for. There are a lot of families that travel, so the 2-bedroom and 1-bedrooms rent better because you can have a pull-out couch if you have a 1-bedroom where the kids can sleep in the living room and you sleep in the bedroom. But 2 bedrooms, obviously, couples like to travel together nowadays also, and save costs that way. So 2 bedrooms are good. So I always think more space is better because you can demand a higher cost per night. And from a ratio standpoint, your carrying costs are not going to be as high. So the increase in maintenance fees and taxes is not proportional to the increase in the amount of rent that you can charge. Or you can almost charge twice as much rent for a 2-bedroom versus a 1-bedroom or a studio, but your carrying costs are not going to be double. So
correct. There's there's a higher profit margin, if you will, in the larger properties, essentially.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. That's an excellent point. All right, so let's see. Let's take. We're going to hit Scott's thing over here. So, did I have I missed my brain here, or Scott, did we cover you already? Because there's regardless, let's do this, Scott. There's a question that popped up from Bernard, and he says, do you observe any uptick of buyers moving to Oahu due to more remote work arrangements from the mainland? If so, how significant is the increase, and do you anticipate more of these types of buyers? Bernard also asked, what are the top 2 or 3 areas on Oahu that have the biggest concentration of Japanese buyers and residents? Scott, I don't know what order you want to take. Let's kind of hit the first one. Are you catching anything from people that are basically relocating because they could work remotely? I'm seeing stories about it.
Very much.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. I mean, you had rolling blackouts, you had COVID, and then you had wildfires in California and that West Coast. And yeah, we've seen quite a few people, especially in the higher end. I'm seeing it just in Kahala, where I brought that listing on a couple of weeks ago. We had 8 sales in the previous 6 months. And in the last 90 days, we had 8 escrows and like 6 closings. And a lot of that was coming from, that West Coast buyer wanting to get out of that scenario. So yeah, we're seeing it. We're also seeing people wanting to exit the condos some. Somebody came by my open house from Park Lane, where it's him and his wife living there. And when the family comes over, they use all these fabulous amenities. Well, all the amenities are shut down now, and they're all confined to this interior condo space. So now they're looking to gravitate to the single family home where they can have a yard, they can have it walled in, they can have space and privacy, and the home really becomes a sanctuary, much more of a sanctuary than prior to COVID. So I'm seeing both of those movement away from condos and an exodus from areas where people can work remotely. That LA producer just bought on Alki Avenue is an exact example of that. He accelerated his movement outside of getting out of LA and wanting to be here and doing more of the remote access. And a tech guy from San Francisco just looked at that property the other day, same sort of concept. He can work remotely from here, rather than what he was going to do was vice versa. He was going to spend some time here as a vacation home, but the majority in the Silicon Valley area, where now it's reversed. He's going to spend his time here and commute back to California.
That is going to be an interesting dynamic of the work from home thing. The other stories I have caught on the work from home, people relocating here are what we call expats, expatriates, folks that were born and raised here, moved to the mainland for one reason or another, and now can do a remote work, and they're just moving back home, sometimes into the family home. And they're moving back. So Bernard, lots of people kind of going on that. How significant? Time will tell. I don't think there's any hard statistics yet. I think it's early in the game, but you're hearing a bunch of empirical knowledge. Scott, top 2 or 3 areas on Oahu with the biggest concentration of buyers residents.
Yeah. So in the foreign market here on Oahu, Japanese buyers make up pretty much 90% of our international market buyer. That's going to be Waikiki. Kaka'ako is probably going to be the dominant one. Kaka'ako and Waikiki are your top 1 and 2. And then if you get into the single family home side, you get into the Diamond Head, Kahala area. And the reason being is, if you get into Waikiki, that's where the businesses can support that secondary language, meaning menus in Japanese, employees that speak Japanese. It's much easier to integrate within that area. Also, people coming, a lot of Japanese buyers will buy the high-rise condo because they can lock it up, walk away. There's very little maintenance. We even have a maintenance program within our company where someone will go and check those units weekly to make sure there's no leaks, stock the refrigerator before they come, things such as that. So they typically go more vertical, lock it up, walk away, rather than having the home maintenance.
Great, thanks, Scott. Excellent details on that. All right, let's move on and go into like a more larger, a bigger topic over here. And the big topic, and I really want to have a discussion with my friends here, is like, why leave Hawaii? And we had a couple of questions here, and then from Jillian says, do you see people moving out of state to be with families somewhere else during this crisis, like other countries or states, thus selling their homes? That's kind of one question. The other one is from Linda, San Diego. She says, I know why people move to Hawaii, but why do they leave? I assume financial and family issues, but what else do sellers say motivated their decision to sell and leave the islands? So this is our topic, right? I mean, when I was researching, starting up livinginhawaii.com, what really struck me was that there are 50,000 people move to Hawaii every year. 60,000 people leave Hawaii every year. So it's, huge numbers. And there's a whole variety of reasons why people leave Hawaii. Clearly, financial is a big one, and family is huge. I think family is the longer term issue, because especially if the wife's family is on the mainland, that's a big draw. I kind of akin it to like the force of gravity, and unless typically speaking, moms want to be near their kids, and a lot of kids that are in Hawaii will leave. They'll go to college and they won't come back. My daughter's an example. She's living in Nevada right now, and she's probably not going to be coming back home. That's a big deal for us. So there's issues, and I think family is a big one. Family gets drawn to the mainland. If you're here without family, that's a big constant draw, and it wears away at you. I'd say that's a real big reason. The financial one is a pretty cut and dried one. You're not making enough money, you can't make ends meet, or there's better opportunities, you're going to pick up and go. the more resistant one. People, don't want to have to make that move if they can, but they sometimes will get forced into. I would say those are the key things. What have you guys? What are you folks kind of hearing when you talk to sellers? When you talk to sellers and the ones that are picking up and leaving, what are the reasons that they give you? So Dylan, let's start with you on this discussion.
I like to talk about two groups of people in this context. So the first one are, the local kids, right? The people that are born and raised here, and a lot of them leave mainly because it's hard to become a homeowner here. Even if you have a professional job, you're a mechanic, you're a nurse, you're a teacher. The income here is similar to the income in many places in the in the mainland. But the cost of living and the cost of housing is 30, 40%, 50% lower there. So you can achieve homeownership and you can live more comfortably on the same salary in the mainland as you could here. So a lot of people leave based on that. But those aren't necessarily homeowners, right? They're leaving because they want to become homeowners and they just can't do it here, or they can't do it comfortably. The other group, and we've talked about this before, and this is of course stereotypical, but I see this all the time, is you get the young retiree, right? That 55 to 65-year-old who has had a good career, maybe bought a home when they were young and has some good equity in it, can sell it, cash out of their home in the mainland and come here and retire in Hawaii. They spend 10 years here. And then, like you were saying, Peter, the kids have kids and they got grandkids in the mainland, and the kids aren't going to move here, right? I mean, they're not going to bring their families here. So the mom misses the kids, and so they end up, for two reasons. One, the family, they want to be closer to their kids and their grandkids, and the other one is healthcare, especially for the neighbor islands. Is if you as you get older and you need more specialized care, a lot of times you have to go to Oahu for that, or you have to be somewhere in the mainland. So people will then sell. So they come here, they stay for 10 or 15 years, and then when they're in their 70s and 80s, they end up going back to the mainland for family and health reasons.
That is I am so glad you pointed that detailed profile out. That's a great one, Dylan. Of course it's true. This idea of folks that have come out to Hawaii, they love the place, they did it, they've been here for 10, 15 years, but then they get drawn back. Not like you said, they got big equity, so like they're millionaires, and they could sell that, they could sell the $1 million home in Hawaii, 1.5 million, and move into a house that's twice the size for like 1/3 the cost on the mainland. It's like, I'm done, right? And you got the family there.
I think we can all attest to this. We rarely, sell homes for people who are leaving because they don't like it. They're leaving. I mean, they're leaving kicking and screaming. A lot of times, one party, the husband or wife is kicking and screaming louder than the other one, because the other one, they're moving for one person's interest more than the other. So yeah, you don't have people that like decide it's terrible here and I'm going to move away. It's a really bittersweet decision for them, and a lot of times it's a difficult thing to sell their home because there's a lot of emotional investment. Sure. And they're not totally sold on it emotionally. So yeah,
that's a really good point. I mean, again, typically it's the wife who wants to move back with the family. It's the wife who misses her children. It's the wife who wants to be with her grandchildren. Guys, we're a bunch of knuckle dragging apes. So we, it's like, yeah, okay, what, some are tight, some are not, but speaking for myself, okay, knuckle dragging ape. Scott, what's your response? I mean, what's your experience been with people who, let's talk about people that are selling their homes. Let's talk about those experiences. People that are selling their homes and moving back to the mainland. What have you seen that we haven't already talked about?
Well, some of it's military.
A lot of military on Oahu.
Three to 5 years, especially here on Oahu. I think I saw somewhere today where there's been 4,000 VA loans done for purchases this year already. So we have a significant military movement. But yeah, I mean, even for me, my parents are in their 70s now. I lost my uncle, who's a huge mentor for me out here about a month and a half ago. He's the reason I'm in real estate. And my parents are starting to age as well. They're living in North Carolina. I can't go and visit them right now, and I can't do a trip with them. And that flight every time I go back to the East Coast is a drag for me. So I've had that conscious thought in my head is, hey, as they get older, what do I value? How much of their time is important to me, and things such as that. So that dialogue goes with every family member. The other portion is the opportunities. A lot of the parents who have kids at Punahou, Iolani, the private schools, they want their kids to go to the mainland and then stay on the mainland for a little while to have those job opportunities in those bigger marketplaces that are going to propel them and put them in a better place. And a lot of those kids that I've even spoken to, even recently, I had a conversation with a couple of them. They say, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to go work on the mainland. Then we want to come back eventually to slow down and have that easier pace of life. But, part of what Dylan was saying is that 10, 15 year period that sometimes people live here for that's that chapter in their life. They had that dream of living here. Okay, let me go and spend that amount of time there, not really thinking about what's coming down the pipe with the family, or maybe they have. And then as it comes up, okay, we've had our time here. If that's that chapter, you close it out and then you go on to the next one. And there've been quite a few military people and other people that I've helped buy in over a 5-year period. They sell the gain that they take. They're paying cash for a home that's bigger and way more affordable in another area. And now they're set financially moving forward in a much more comfortable place, having lived out here and experienced Hawaii and owned in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a great great kind of a layout that kind of really spells out a lot of stuff that a lot of cases. Heidi, what do you have to add to this conversation that we haven't already said? What are you seeing? What sort of stories can you pull from your experience of people that are selling their homes and moving back to the mainland?
Well, some people have the perception that there might be a big migration out of Maui just because of job impacts, because of COVID, and high unemployment. But what I'm actually dealing with and noticing is people that had long-term plans to sell anyway and move to the mainland now want to stay on Maui because of COVID, because they're listening to the news, they're hearing about spikes of COVID cases in other areas on the mainland, and they definitely don't want to leave now. They want to wait another 6 months, see how it goes. So I think there's going to be, because of the pandemic, people coming and going. That's kind of always been the case. But one thing I'm personally noticing is there are a lot of out-of-state license plates on the road. That means people have shipped their cars over to Maui and moved here personally. Something I mentioned on a previous show is enrollment at private schools on Maui is at an all-time high. There's been a huge spike in enrollment at private schools. And this is families that have left California, Oregon, Washington, Texas, and moved over to Maui permanently. So, I think there's going to be some people leaving, but there's also a lot of people coming here as well.
Thank you, Heidi, so much for that. That you really kind of fleshed out and gave a different angle on this whole thing, which is also true. It's like, yes, my wife says this a lot. She says, man, we take it for granted how like we live in this nice little isolated bubble. We live in this sort of COVID bubble that, the cases aren't that big. With the crazy riots that were going on across the country, there was a time when it's like, right? So you're all nodding, right? It's like, yeah, there was a time when it's like, man, what the heck is going on here? Thank God we're here in Hawaii where everyone's got their heads kind of screwed on straight. It's really cool. And, I really, really, really appreciate your guys' input. It's just fabulous. And you know what? Anne agrees with me. Look what she just said. Thank you, Anne. Love the comment. Mahalo for your show. Each of you provide great, relevant info, and you have truly friendly demeanors. When I return, I'll certainly be using one of you to secure my home. Again, mahalo. Well, mahalo back to you, Anne. Yeah, thank you for expressing in your words what I'm also feeling. This is a great team of people. It's a great show. It's a great show. I'd watch it myself if I didn't have to kind of do it. All right. So look, it's that time now. We're going to move on to our diamonds and deals, and you kind of do not want to miss this one because I think there's something kind of cool over here. Hopefully, I'm not overselling it. So let's move it, and here it is. Heidi, take it away, Heidi. We had the question earlier that said, "Can I buy a oceanfront, not oceanfront, but an ocean view condo for up to $300?" What are we looking at here, Heidi?
So this is definitely a deal for $312,000. It's a fee simple property. It's a studio condominium, beach access, amazing amenities, pool, fitness center, garage parking, central air conditioning. The maintenance fees are $700 a month, include absolutely everything, all your utilities. This condominium from January to March 15th did about $12,000 in income in 2020. And then, I mean, has been vacant since then, but rentals are starting to pick up again. So anyway, if you're looking for something around $300,000 that you can vacation rent on Maui, this is a good one.
Now, those pictures, there's that one picture from the lanai. Is that the lanai of this unit?
It is, yes.
All right, so that's the view. That's the view you've got. I mean, talk about like picturesque, right? I mean, you've got coconut tree. I mean, you got coconut trees, ocean, and a pool to look out at when you wake up in the morning, and have that special coffee that Heidi has. Awesome. All right, thank you, Heidi. Folks, what do you think? Give me some comments. What do you think about this condo for studio condo in Royal Lahaina? Fee simple, by the way. You own the land. It's not a lease. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. Scott. Oh my God, Scott. What is this?
Yeah, this is I met with the seller actually about 2 years ago, just to kind of do an assessment on his property. It's a beautiful home. A well-known local architect designed it, and it's one of the few homes that I've been in where you literally can see Molokai on a clear day all the way wrapped around Hawaii Kai, Port La, Koko Kai, and sweep it even more than 180 degrees in the other way. So Diamond Head's right out front, which you can see in that upper left picture, but sweep all the way to the other side to Waianae Mountain Range, airplanes taking off. Every room in this house has a just spectacular view, and you're perched up on this ridge called Waialainui Ridge, which is one of my favorites, and it's up at the top. It's gated, but 4,100 square feet, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. But man, who wouldn't want to be in that jacuzzi with a little champagne at sunsets every night, looking out over the city? And it's peaceful, quiet. You don't hear anything.
I mean, that is just such an iconic shot. I mean, all those shots are pretty amazing. But like that, I mean, talk about an awesome. Whoever set up that photo with the champagne glasses, with the killer sunset overlooking town. That is. Oh my God, that's amazing. Hey, by the way, we're getting a little bit of feedback on Heidi's property. Jeremy says it looks great. Stargazer, who's also a frequent viewer, says it looks awesome. And very nice. Michael, what's the square foot of the condo? Heidi, how many square feet in the condo?
I believe it's about 430 square feet.
430 square feet. That's the well-prepared Heidi that we know and love. 430 square feet. So there's your answers there, folks. Okay, let's hit it. We are just like knocking them all out of the park over here, because Dylan is like, Dylan's not to be outdone. Dylan, what do you got over here, buddy?
Yeah, I just wanted to feature, property, a normal property that if you want that stunning ocean view and walking distance to one of the coolest beaches in Kona. So this is in Kona Paradise, which is about 40 minutes south of Kailua, Kona. So it's a rural area, but it's a beautiful little community, and it's got this beach at the bottom called Pebble Beach, and that's that upper right photo. And it's just a huge black pebble beach, and it feels private. It's not a private beach, but it's the bottom of this community. So, and because it's a little bit out of the way from town, you don't have the tourist traffic going there. So you can go there on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and have 2 or 3 other families, and it's a pretty normal day. So you're never going to have the beach packed. But 639 sweeping ocean, 180 degree ocean views from the lanai. You can see it. I mean, this
so
is
crazy.
Pebble. It's a short walk from the beach, a shorter drive. But then this one is a permitted vacation rental, so it was grandfathered in, and they do have the approved permit. So it was a very successful vacation rental until COVID, and could be again in the future.
Wow. So is this zone vacation rental?
It is not. It's zone residential, but part of the process that we've talked about before was if you were already in operation, you could apply for a non-conforming use permit, and they would allow you to continue, which they do have.
Man, stunning, absolutely stunning properties. Let's see. This one came in from Anne. Instead of using a vacation rental, can one use as a primary residence? I think she's talking about the Maui property. Heidi, can that Maui property be your primary residence if you wanted to live there?
Absolutely, yes. And if it was your primary residence, you would have lower property taxes as well. So another bonus.
you get the bonus. So yeah, so all these, and of course Scott's property is a house. So if you're looking at that, and that of course the house works, and of course Dylan's property also works as well. Excellent. Okay, we have a question kind of came in. Let's take this one again. Gorgeous. I mean, phenomenal properties. I mean, great ones. I mean, just stunning. There's nothing like, I don't think anything beats amazing properties in Hawaii. They're just next level, because it's not just the structure or the building or the size of the kitchen or those typical features, which is what you get on the mainland. But here, stunning properties in Hawaii have breathtaking natural views. It's really remarkable. Great, Ann, you got it. Our pleasure, Ann. Okay, so here's one that we got from Michael, and he says, "Hey Pete, let me get the right shot over here." Yeah. Okay. Hey, Pete, greetings from Australia. My wife and I want to move to Oahu in the next 2 years. We have family there, and we want to be closer to the mainland, North America versus Australia. But more importantly, we want to raise our kids in Hawaii because we feel it's a better lifestyle. What's your opinion on schools in Oahu? And is there a, quote, better area for children? So, Scott, I mean, we've covered this in the past, but what would you tell Michael if he says, look, I kind of want to have an area that, schools on Oahu. Look, so let's just say for the moment, private schools are always an option, right? You could always go to a private school. Hawaii has, I think, some of the top-rated private schools in the nation. Like Punahou, for example, is one, but I think Punahou is like $30,000 a year at least, if not more, these days. I sent my daughters to private Catholic schools when they were growing up. So Hawaii has a lot on Oahu. We have a lot of private schools, so that's always an option, and you can kind of, you want to live near where those private schools are if you take the private school option. So let's put that one aside. Scott, where would you recommend that people go to if they want to take the public school option? Are there areas of Oahu versus others that have a difference in public schools?
Yeah, I mean, private school, you would want to be in town anyway, because that's where most of the private schools are. Then Kalani and Kaiser, those two high schools are known to be very well as Mililani. So part of that kind of depends on your price point. But Mililani is going to be more central Oahu, whereas Kaiser's right kind of on the backside of Diamond Head. Kalani's on the backside of Diamond Head. Kaiser's in Hawaii Kai. So that whole stretch right in there would be a good option on the public school side, which still kind of puts you a little bit in the urban core or your Hawaii Kai side.
So you would say basically, if you're looking for, so if it's private schools, you want to be located centrally in town somewhere, what we call town. That would be near Ala Moana Center, for example, somewhat near Waikiki, not too much near Waikiki. Diamond Head,
Manoa,
Manoa, etc. You want to definitely talk to Scott because he could rattle off all those neighborhoods and those districts that you want to be at. And if it's for public schools, either you're going to go to Central Oahu, which is Mililani, or you're going to go to the southeast area of Oahu, which is Hawaii Kai, from Diamond Head to Hawaii Kai, from Kahala to Hawaii Kai, maybe including a little bit of Kaimuki. So basically, you kind of want to stay in there.
Those are your top three.
Yeah, those were the top three. Great, thanks, Scott. All right, let's see here. I think we got about a minute left. I think we got it, folks. This is the last call. We're going to go around the table over here and give our aloha. If you have any final questions, give it in. Dylan, give your final words to everybody. We'll just go around the table over here. So, Dylan, go.
Yeah, I was listening to an online conference this week, and my big takeaway from it, I'll share with everybody, was don't try to prove yourself, improve yourself. I thought that was a cool takeaway. So I'll leave you with that for the weekend. Have a good weekend.
Oh, man.
Everybody.
Awesome, man. Okay, Dylan, you just started a new segment. A new segment that we're going to do, like, closing words of wisdom. Now, we don't have to do it this time, but we're going to do it another time. Actually, you know what? Hold on a quick sec. You know what, Mark? Hold on a second. Mark asked about Big Island schools real quick. So Dylan, there is a question that we're going to cover this. I think Mark was Mark the one who submitted this one. Anyway, what would you say on the Big Island side, Dylan, real quick?
You don't have a lot of options. There are two big high schools on the Kona side. There's one really tiny private school, and then in Waimea you have a couple other private school options, but you're pretty limited. as I always say about education, my wife is an educator. It's less about the school and more about the parents. So there's lots of successful kids that graduated from our public schools here. Are they highly rated? Probably not compared to other places, but do they have AP programs? You can graduate with an associate's degree with the programs that they have here in the high schools doing AP and stuff like that. So if you live on the north side, you go to Kalaka'i. If you live on the south side, you go to Konawaena. Pretty simple.
Thanks, Dylan. And I think Kinaya likes your loves the closing words of wisdom. We're going to have to figure that one out, Dylan. That's a good one. Scott, what's your final words for everybody? You don't have to do the wisdom thing because Dylan just kind of threw that on us, so I'm not prepared with mine either. But what's your closing statement, Scott?
No, I had a client that came out here one time and they said, hey, we've come 99% of the way. We want the last 1%. They wanted to be up on a ridge property, be able to have views like that one I was showing earlier. And, basically at the end of the day, I mean, this is what we're doing. This is why I've been here for 21 years. I asked myself 21 years ago, do I really want to work in a white-walled office with no windows every day to save my money up to come out here on vacation for 2 weeks every year? Do I want to live the lifestyle? And this is what I figured out how to do it.
Living the dream, man. Living the dream, man. I mean, look, Scott, just back up for a quick second. I want to look at that. So look at that view, man. And there's somebody in the water over there. There's dolphins flopping around. Scott is at the Kahala Resort, which is a very a great property. It's where actually presidents go and dignitaries go all the time. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Love it. Thank you, Scott. Have a great one. Heidi, give everybody your final words.
I just want to thank everybody for watching the show. And, the best thing about living in Hawaii, all the best things about living in Hawaii are really free. It's the weather, it's the amazing natural beauty, and just on the weekend being able to jump in the ocean, go on a great hike, watch a sunset. I mean, that's a great Friday night for me. So
ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Thank you, Heidi. That's the best things. And I actually had, there was another project. I had a website years ago called Oahu for Free. And my tagline is the best things are free. So I'm right with you on that one, Heidi, right with you. All right, folks, let's see. We're getting some cheers. Some Michael, you take care of yourself. Kinaya will take care, and Stargazer, Jeremy, and of course, Jim Stevenson, who's here every show. Love you, Jim. Hope to see you here one of these days. All right, folks, I think that's it. This is Peter Kay signing out with my good friends Dylan Nonaka, Scott Starsman, and Heidi Dellinger. Have a great week, folks. See you in 2 weeks. Aloha.